Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. I real quick want to thank y'all for all the support you showed me in the month of October. It was by far my biggest month yet. We're now into November and we're going to keep climbing and doing bigger and better things, and it's all because of y'all's support. Thank you so much. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. We're going to go ahead and get right into things. If you've watched these videos, you probably know that there have been a lot of big surprises across the association up to this point, both good and bad. However, I haven't made a video yet about the biggest surprise by far, the Utah Jazz. They have completely stunned me and the NBA world alike. Nobody saw them being 6-2, 8 games into their schedule, and if you did, please tell me when the Thunder are going to win a championship, because I need to know at this point. They have looked incredible, and they're not just beating up on like easy teams. They blew out the Grizzlies tonight. They beat the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, amongst many others. The Jazz have beaten some legit competition. I did not see this coming. They have completely proven me wrong. I thought they were going to be one of the bottom feeders in the West, like a 13 or a 14 seed. They've been the exact opposite. Right now, they're sitting third in the Western Conference, and I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not going to say that they are, but in the very least, they've proven me wrong and showing that they're a very competent team. And it's the play of a lot of different guys, but obviously one guy in particular, the guy in the thumbnail, Lauri Markkanen. Lauri Markkanen has been incredible in the early going, and tonight, in a game where the Jazz blew out the Grizzlies, led by 20 at multiple points, Lauri had 31 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 4 blocks on 11 of 15 shooting. And on the season, he's averaging 21.5 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists on 48% shooting. And he hasn't even had his 3-ball fall consistently yet. Right now, it's sitting around like 27, 28% on the season. I expect that to continuously go up because he's been a good shooter for all of his career, which is just going to have those other numbers rise as well. He's not even playing as well as he probably could up to this point, and already he looks like an all-star. He looks like the most improved player. If he keeps this up, he's going to maybe be in the conversation for an all-star starter. That's how good Lauri has been so far. He's incredible, and a lot of it has to do with the role that he's playing. When he played in Chicago, for example, he was looked at as kind of a shooter, a floor spacer. Similar thing in Cleveland. There were a lot of mouths to feed with Darius Garland. It was supposed to be Colin Sexton out there. He wasn't. They also had like Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. There was just a big pecking order. This is the first time where Lauri has kind of had the team to himself, and he's been given the keys to run the offense and really operate. He's playing more as a big than he has in the past, and he's really showed off his high-level rebounding skills, his ability to put back shots. He's handling the ball. He's making like tough step-back mid-ranges here and there, playmaking for others. He's doing everything as the focal point of the offense. He's got guys like Jordan Clarkson, Kelly Olynyk, Mike Conley to take some of that pressure off of him too, but he is being solely looked at as the lead guy and thriving in that role. It's been incredible to watch the way that he has adapted and continuously stepped up to the challenge. I did not see this coming. He's one of those guys that has been looked at by many as somewhat of a bust, but even then, he's played pretty solid so far through his career. This, though, is easily his breakout. He is playing the best basketball of his career by a significant margin. It's not even close. It's because he's been given the keys to things. He's been put in a situation that highlights his strengths, and not just Lauri Markkanen, but this team as a whole is playing together as a unit. You've got a bunch of guys averaging double-digit points, Jordan Clarkson averaging 17, Olynyk averaging 13, Colin Sexton putting in 12 in limited minutes, Mike Conley and Malik Beasley each adding 11. It is a team effort. Everybody's playing off of each other and playing through this system that has been well established by head coach Will Hardy, who's done a phenomenal job in the early going. You can already tell that he is a great coach. He's got everybody exactly where they need to be. They're locked in. They know what they're supposed to do. They're not a great offense or anything. They're 15th, which isn't surprising because they don't have a lot of great offensive talent, but they're a top 7 defense so far, which is also a big surprise for a Jazz team that last year was solid defensively, but they lacked pretty much any perimeter defense. And they also had Rudy Gobert, a multiple-time defensive player of the year. Now you flip over to this season, you imagine that they'd be one of the worst defenses in the league by a pretty wide margin. That hasn't been the case. Guys are buying in, guys are committed on that end. Lauri Markkanen, going back to him, has been pretty solid defensively, even when he's playing some small ball center minutes in which he's looked really good. Jared Vanderbilt continues to be highly underrated as a defender. defender. He does a bit of everything. He gets in the passing lanes. He's averaging over 2 steals a game. He's one of those guys that's like a Swiss Army knife there and is making an all defensive case. Walker Kessler has looked good in his run so far as both a shot blocker and someone that just alters attempts at the rim. This whole team is buying into what they're trying to do. They are buying into trying to prove people wrong. Everybody, me included, said, hey, this team's going to be tanking. And there is still plenty of time. I don't think this is sustainable being like a top 3 seed in the West. I still anticipate that they're a play-in team at best. However, they've proved me wrong once. Maybe they can prove me wrong again. But all in all, right now, they're saying we think we can be a lot better than that. We think we are capable of making a playoff push. We'll see if Danny Ainge allows it, because I wouldn't be surprised if he starts trading guys off. I'm sure he wants Victor Wembanyama in Salt Lake City. But for right now, the Jazz are blowing all expectations away. And it's Lauri Markkanen being the leader of that squad. It's Will Hardy being a great coach and the team buying into this system. There isn't much more powerful in the NBA than the spirit of an underdog team that has no expectations. I saw it firsthand in 2019-2020 with the Oklahoma City Thunder, led by Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dennis Schroeder, Danilo Gallinari, Steven Adams. That team was looked at as a bottom feeder team in the West. People thought Chris Paul was washed. Shai was good, but maybe he was still like a year away. Gallinari was okay. It just wasn't looked at as a team that was going to be a high-level competitor. They ended up making the playoffs and pushing the Houston Rockets, who many people saw as a championship caliber team, to 7 games in the first round, and they were like one Lou Dort pump fake and a made 3 away from advancing to the second round. Underdogs have a ton of power, and there aren't many more fun teams to watch than underdog squads. That's why the Jazz have been so enjoyable up to this point. That's why they're playing so freely. They have house money. No one has any expectations. They're not one of these championship caliber teams where if they lose this season, things are going to get blown up in the organization, coaches are going to get fired, and everything's going to fall apart. They have so much time. This is the first year of their rebuild. It's been super fun to watch, so shout to the Jazz, Will Hardy, and shout to Lauri Markkanen in particular, who looks like an all-star and has been playing incredible basketball. On the Grizzlies side of things, Ja was great. He had 37, 5, and 4, but Desmond Bane was out with ankle soreness and they severely missed his offense. Also defensively, they still cannot get stops. They're one of the worst defenses in the league, and it's starting to come back to bite them. They start off 4-1. They've lost 2 in a row now. They've got to kind of figure that out. They haven't been able to get many stops. They need Jaren Jackson back, basically, is the kind of the key to things. Brandon Clark also suffered a hand injury, so he left. Guys are kind of just getting hurt left and right. They can't get anybody healthy. They don't have a great defense. The Grizzlies are in a bit of trouble right now. They still got Ja Morant, so I think the ship is still kind of steady, but it could tip over pretty fast. Then you had Brooklyn versus Indiana, in which the Nets got a huge bounce back win in pretty close fashion. They were up by like 24 points in this one in the first half. If they had ended up blowing this lead, it legit felt like one of those games that could cost Steve Nash his job or cause some major shift in the organization. So the fact that they held on is huge for their momentum going forward, because it really felt like the crowd was very antsy. If this had gotten out of hand and the Pacers took this one after they won last game and they fell to 1-6, things would have gotten really heated over there in Brooklyn, but they did hold on, in large part due to Kevin Durant, who had 36 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists, while Kyrie Irving had 28, 6, and 6. Claxton had 19, 9, and 4, which was a great game from him. But like I said, almost blew that 24-point lead. They did hold on, in large part, like I said, because they had the incredible shot making of Kevin Durant, who was killer down the stretch. But this was nearly a disaster. For the Pacers, Chris Duarte had 30. Benedict Mathurin and Tyrese Haliburton both kind of struggled in this one, which ended up costing them the game. And Miles Turner, who was on Woj's podcast earlier and basically said, hey, Lakers, come trade for me, which felt very weird. It felt like some weird form of tampering, but I don't know if players are allowed to tamper with. It was very confusing. I don't understand why that interview went out there, but regardless, he played like he wanted to be off the team tonight. He was really miserable. It seemed like he didn't give a lot of effort out there. He was frustrated. Just not a typical game we're used to seeing from Miles Turner. So maybe there are some internal struggles or frustrations, but for right now, the Indiana Pacers fall. They had a great win against Brooklyn the other night, but they still are a rebuilding team and their inconsistencies caught up to them. Then we had a hideous game in Clippers versus Rockets, another team that I just made a video about being mediocre. The Clippers come out and get a win. Like I said, it was disgusting. There were some really terrible shots on both sides of the ball. The Clippers offense just needs some form of movement. Without John Wall, they really just can't seem to get any downhill pressure. Reggie Jackson is hilarious because he takes some of the worst shots you will ever ever see. There was one point where the Clippers had a chance to tie this thing, and Reggie Jackson took like a 1-on-3 fast break layup, and he missed it, of course, and then they ended up winning. But it was way more difficult than it probably should have been for this Clippers team, one that has been looked at by me and many others as having incredible depth. Hasn't really been the case up to this point, but they did win because of the heroics of Paul George, who hit a game winner along the baseline after hitting a huge game-tying three from the top of the key. He had just an all-around phenomenal game. This was a big bounce back for him, and one that the Clippers really needed. Similar to the Nets game, if they lost this one, it would have really been tough in Los Angeles, but they do hold on. Then on the Rockets side of things, like I said, their offense is really tough to watch. They don't really have any sets. It feels like they don't really move that much off ball. When they run pick and roll, whether it's KPJ or Jalen Green, it feels like they never hit the roll man. They just always take the shot, which feels very predictable. All around, just not a very good offense. Jabari Smith doesn't really ever get involved, despite being a 3rd overall pick. I don't think Steven Silas is the answer at coach. I just haven't been impressed with what I've seen from him so far. I've seen a lot of Rockets fans agree with me on that. I feel like he's just kind of not the fit for this rebuilding team. Originally, he was supposed to coach Russell Westbrook and James Harden. Maybe he would have been a better fit for that, but so far with this young core, he just hasn't been it. Then we had Raptors versus Hawks, which is a huge blowout win for Toronto. Pascal continues to be dominant. He had 31, 12, and 6. Very versatile. Nobody could really stop him on the Hawks. They don't have a defender that can keep up with a guy that has so much downhill pressure like him, someone that's physical. That's a problem that I think they're going to have to address. We'll see how they do that around the trade deadline, but he's just been one of the best players in the league. I promise a video about him is coming at some point soon. No Fred VanVleet in this one, which makes the win more impressive, although he struggled so far. Gary Trent Jr. had 21. Scotty Barnes had his best game of the season, 21, 7, and 8, and he was drilling threes like he belonged in the three-point contest. He was stepping up into them off the dribble, just doing a bit of everything, and that's really the piece of his game that has to come together for Scotty Barnes to meet his true ceiling. If he can start knocking down three-point shots with consistency, the league might be done. On the Hawks side, like I said, they just really couldn't get any stops. They don't have a big defender to deal with a guy like Siakam. Trae Young really struggled in this one. He had 14 points, 10 assists, and 10 turnovers. DeJounte had 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists. But all around as a team, they really just don't do well with like lengthy defenders. The Raptors feel like a horrible matchup for them. They've got so many guys that cause turnovers, get in passing lanes. They really are able to disrupt the pick and roll that Trae Young has kind of perfected. If these two teams face in the playoffs, it's probably a nightmare for the Hawks unless they make some big moves. I'm starting to feel like John Collins might not be a great fit for this team. I think they might need a more like 3D oriented power forward. We'll see if they end up trading him, but right now I just haven't been impressed with his play. Then some final notes. Davion Mitchell carried the Kings at the end of their win against the Charlotte Hornets. He finished with 23 points. Kevin Huerter had 26. Fox left the game after getting hurt early. Hopefully he's good. On the Hornets side of things, PJ Washington was really good. He's been stepping up big in the absence of some of their other guys. He had 28 points. And then Dennis Smith Jr. had 15, 7, 8, and 4. He's been an incredible story, a guy that was nearly out of the league. He was training for the NFL before this season, and he ended up getting a call from the Hornets to come over and play. He's looked great. He looks like a legit backup guard in this league. So super excited for a guy that I was really high on when he was with Dallas. You had Bucks versus Pistons, where Giannis dropped 31 points. Drew Holiday had his best game of the season with 25, 7, and 10, as well as a dagger 3. On the Pistons side of things, Cade Cunningham continues to ball out. He had 27, 6, and 7, just barely missed a game-tying three-point attempt that would have sent it to overtime. However, it's a great fight from a Detroit team that was kind of out of this for most of it. They fought all the way back. Really great effort from them, and Cade continues to look like the breakout candidate that many people thought he would be. Finally, we had Philly versus Washington, with the Sixers getting another win without Joel Embiid. James Harden had 17 dimes in this one. He was playmaking like crazy, getting everybody involved, and in particular, letting Tyrese Maxey do the scoring. He had 28 points. He has to keep being a focal point of this offense down the stretch if they want to turn this season around, and they have gotten back to 500. They're playing much better basketball so far. The Wizards, on the other hand, are just kind of confusing. Porzingis had over 30 points, and he played a really good game, but I just don't really understand their offense. I don't know why Bradley Beal, who is your super max player, isn't being consistently involved. I know a lot of Wizards fans have kind of grown tired of what Wes Unseld Jr. has done offensively, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know as much about the Wizards as them, but from what I've watched of them, I haven't been impressed. I just don't like the way that they run things. It feels like you have this incredible scorer on your team, use him. I understand wanting to get a bunch of different guys involved in a bunch of different looks, but Beal needs to be aggressive and you need to put him in spots where he's supposed to score. Neither of those things have happened, and because of that, the Wizards are under 500. That's all I have to say about the games tonight. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and as always, comment your biggest takeaways down below. Let me know what you think about the Jazz. Do you think they are for real, or do you think that they're going to fade away pretty soon? I personally think that eventually they'll fall back to a play-in team, but for right now, it's super fun to watch, and I do think Lauri will be an all-star this season. As always, like I said, I appreciate y'all watching. Hit that like and subscribe if you enjoyed, notification bell too. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.